What's going on, guys? So we are out here at the Vanley Beacon fifth wheel. This is the 42 RDB. Vanley is a division of Tiffin. This is their Beacon, which is their higher end luxury model. This unit has a gross vehicle weight rating of 18,500 pounds. The hitch weight on this is roughly 3,500 pounds. We have with us today this Ram 3500 dually, high output Cummins engine, Aisin transmission, 410 rear gear ratio, and air suspension on the back. Gives us the ability to level out the suspension. Right now I have it in its lowest setting, which you can kind of see makes the truck look really level. And the point of today's video is to see how the fifth wheel sits on the truck. We're going to be going out on a trip this weekend, and I just want to make sure that I have the hitch set up properly. So the hitch that's in this truck is the Mopar, manufactured by Kurt. It is the 30,000 pound puck system fifth wheel hitch. This has the prep package. You can also use a goose ball in there if you want, but this specific hitch again is rated at 30,000 pounds. This is the heaviest duty hitch that they offer, and this is what gives this truck a 30,000 pound fifth wheel tow capacity. But what I've done is raised it to its highest setting, because at its lowest setting there's absolutely no way I would clear the rails of the fifth wheel right here, and I need to make sure I have the proper clearance over these rails so there's no chance of fifth wheel overhang to bed contact. That can be a very bad thing. So again, I have it at its highest setting, and the reason I did this is because when I had the Chevy, which had a very similar hitch, it was at a lower setting. I raised it all the way up and it was still a little bit closer than I would have liked. So I want to see how this hitch sits with this trailer at its highest position, because hopefully I'll have the bed rail height clearance that I'm looking for. So we're going to go and hitch up the truck to the fifth wheel and see how everything looks. Got my remote tailgate release. The fifth wheel is sitting, I think, appropriately high at this point to go ahead and start backing the truck up to see how everything lines up. So let's get in the truck, back her up, and see what happens. Okay, there we go. Yep, that is just about how much space I was hoping for. As you can see, we are hitched. I still haven't locked everything in place yet, but you can see the jaws are securely wrapped around the kingpin. Now, I'm gonna scoot over here. It's locked in place. If I wanted to release, I'd pull this out and then I'd push it towards the truck. But I'd lock this pin in place like this. But all we're doing in this video is just seeing how this assembly looks hitched up, and from what I can see, we are in really good shape. Let's go ahead and start lowering the weight down. Okay, so there we go. We have all the weight resting on the back. You can clearly see that there's plenty of space here. That is exactly how much space I want. That's going to be roughly 6 inches of clearance between the bed rail and the overhang. And the hitch is set up at its highest setting. But what's really cool is once I pull this out, if it looks like the front of the fifth wheel is sitting down a little bit or the back is sitting too low, I can simply raise the air suspension slightly. That was cool, wasn't it? So it definitely raised the front up quite a bit. You can see this front landing gear was very close to the ground, and now it's closer to 2 inches off the ground. The system is in leveling mode, and you can kind of hear the compressor releasing air and kind of leveling everything out the way it should be. But that is really cool. And again, the big thing here is the fact that we have the height we need. Now, some people wondered if this is too high, basically if you're not supposed to use this in its highest setting. And I already spoke with the engineers at Kurt, and they said it is perfectly safe to use it this way. A lot of people think those are the only 2 bolts on each side that hold this assembly in place. And like I've pointed out in another video on the Chevy, you actually have 2 steel pegs that are attached to this plate that go into those 2 additional inner holes, and that prevent all the load from being carried by those bolts. So the shear forces are actually against 4 points on each side as opposed to 2. Very, very robust system. This entire section right here is a cast assembly, and the part that this actually sits on is an inch thick steel. Yep, you heard that right. To give you a comparison against like the companion hitch from B&W, that is 4 times thicker. The edge doesn't look as thick because it tapers off, but the center itself is, and you can kind of see it from right there through that little opening, how thick it is. Very, very robust assembly. Very nice assembly. It looks nice too. And it doesn't take up quite as much room as some of the other hitches because of how it flattens out here towards the end. Overall, very, very cool setup. I'm very happy with how this looks, how it went, and I love the clearance that I have. That is what gives me the articulation I need to be able to turn sharper and go over uneven terrain a little bit better and safer without having to worry about making contact with the 5th wheel. And from here, everything looks really level. So next time we're out here, we're going to be hitching up and actually going on a road trip. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.